Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with the Coach on the Spartan Sports Network. And now, here's your host, Walt Fowler.
Thank you, Brad Sarno, voice of the Spartans. And joining us this week on Monday Morning Coffee with the Coach is John Tallis. John, the new head coach of the women's bowling squad. John, number one, this is obviously your first year and only the second year for the women's bowling program. So just tell me how you slid into the position.
Longtime friend of Coach Marcus on a recommendation. Funny story, I bowl with him in a league on Wednesday night, and I have a pretty good average, and he asked me if I was, if I could coach the women's team, and I was very happy to oblige, and I'm ready to go for the season.
All right, and we're referring to Coach Marcus, Lauren Marcus, the indoor track and field coach for St. Thomas Aquinas. How's his average?
I don't know if he wants me to disclose that.
He may want you to give him a few pointers, but we'll have to catch up with him to find out. But let's talk women's bowling. So, just how many bowlers are on the roster, and how many events will you compete in over the winter?
I have nine girls on the roster right now, and we'll compete in about 15 events throughout the season, and then the final event being the East Coast Conference Championship in Reading, Pennsylvania. Okay,
and the bowlers, just to tell me, give us an idea of some of the bowlers that you have.
For one, we got a freshman, Brianna Randazzo from Suffern. Loves the sport, wants to give it everything, every practice. I've stayed with her twice, she's just very willing to learn, and it's nice as a coach. It makes my job easy. And
you see someone who has the passion for it and just absorbs everything you're trying to teach them.
Exactly, which is terrific. And we also got a transfer from Malloy College, Gianna Avalone, who actually did very well in the past tournament. She finished 6th out of 23 women overall, with some pins left out there, but that's why we're there.
And that tournament, that was the Northeast Classic, I believe, in Lodi, New Jersey, which was the first week of December, right?
Yeah, and that was our first tournament of the year. So, pretty good start, considering.
Yeah, very, very impressive to start that way. What about practices? Is it every day? Where's the practice at? When do you practice?
We practice right now. We're practicing Monday today and Friday down at High Tor Lanes in West Haverstraw, New York.
And of a facility you're familiar with?
Yes. I bowl in a few leagues there myself. So.
And speaking of, in some of your background and experience, last year you were the Rockland County Bowler of the Year, which is congratulations to you, a good feather in your cap.
Thank you so much. A lot of hard work on the lanes for myself. It was a long time coming.
And what was your? Is that determined? You won a particular tournament, or is it your average over the course of time?
It's tournaments you bowled in. It's average. It's your achievements over the year. Last year I bowled 5 300s in
Sweet
in 2018.
Congratulations.
And 3 800 series, which is the 3 games combined.
Right. And your average?
My average right now currently is 228.
Beautiful. Good deal. All right. As far as coaching, what is an outsider like me? I bowl recreationally, and not often, and haven't bowled in a long time. But in coach, what are the key points or that you coach in if someone's wants to improve their game?
Well, for starters, it's all about balance at the line. You have to be completely on balance to throw the shot where it needs to go every time. What people don't know, what the regular bowler, maybe such as yourself, doesn't know, the oil has a lot to do with where the ball is going to go and how the ball reacts on the lanes. Mm-hmm. So there's different oils. Like if I was to go to the league now, I would have so much room. I would have 5 to 10 boards where my ball would sit, and I could possibly get a strike. In the professionals, or even on our shots that we throw in college, you have 1 or 2 boards, so that's really narrowed down, and you really have to hit your mark every single time.
Got to be precise.
Precise, exactly.
And how do you achieve that balance when you say balance at the line?
I mean, it's all about. I mean, you have to be comfortable, and it's just slowing yourself down. It's just your steps. It's got to be rhythmic.
Right.
You know, I mean.
You got to patient, and you got to see it. You can't just blindly walk
you
up
can't,
to the line.
and you can't run up there and just heave the ball down the lane. You know?
Right. Very, very true. All right. When you go to these tournaments, how many schools? When you'll go to, I guess you have 4 or 5 in January and similar amount in February. How many teams show up? What's the conference? Is it the East Coast Conference or Northeast Conference? What were we talking?
Yeah, it's the East Coast Conference. I mean, usually 6 to 8 teams show up. I believe we have 10 in the conference. So it's competitive. I mean, again, we're just starting out, and we're trying to get there.
And is there a team, like a top team, who won it last year? Do you know, or who are the teams to beat?
I mean, Adelphi is one of the top schools, definitely. Molloy College is always competitive. Wilmington. I mean, we got a pretty good conference, pretty competitive conference.
All right, and you want to, as you said, you want to build a program. So what about recruiting? Have you started that yet, or are you looking, or how are you going to build it?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking. I mean, luckily, locally, we have some good high schools.
You mentioned North Rockland, an excellent bowling program.
Yeah, North Rockland, excellent. I mean, they finished 3rd last year, the women's side. So we're always on the lookout. We're always watching.
Okay, and are there key events in January coming up? You had this one, the Northeast tournament, Northeast Classic down in Lodi, New Jersey. That was the one event in December. What about when you get back in action in January? What events are key or you're looking toward?
Well, the first event we have coming up is the Westchester Community College Classic.
And looking at the schedule, that's January 19th, and it's at Spins Carmel, which I believe is the name of the facility in Carmel, New York.
Yeah, it's kind of we're against community college and some other teams from the conference, just to get our feet wet a little bit on the lanes.
And then you've got a big one coming up. Most of the events are in New York, and the tournaments in New York, but you've got one in the first week of February 2nd, the Kutztown University Bowling for a Cure tournament in Douglasville, Pennsylvania. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, that's a big tournament. We have all the teams from the conference are there, so we want to try to make a good showing. Definitely be competitive. I mean, we'll see everybody, so.
Well, we'll be keeping tabs on the entire squad and how the bowling team fares throughout the season. John, I want to thank you for joining us this morning, and good luck. Second season for the bowling team. Want to build a program, and the entire Spartan community wishes you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. That is John Tallis, the women's bowling coach, joining us on Monday Morning Coffee with the Coach. I'm Walt Fowler, your host. We'll see you next week right here on the Spartan Sports Network.